Hamnet, Grief, Art, and the Making of Immortality. There is a story behind every masterpiece. Before Hamlet, before the ghost on the battlements and the prince's agony, there was a small boy running through a quiet English house, calling for help. His name was Hamnet, and his death changed the world of literature forever. Today, we explore Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, a luminous, heart-wrenching novel about love, grief, and how art becomes the final language of the soul. Set in the late 1500s, in Stratford-upon-Avon, the book reimagines the life of the Shakespeare family, but without ever naming Shakespeare himself. He is simply the husband, the father, the Latin tutor. Because this story is not about the famous playwright, it's about Agnes, the woman history remembers faintly as Anne Hathaway, and the children they built their fragile world around. Agnes is unlike anyone else in her town. She lives on the edges, half healer, half mystic, attuned to the whispers of nature, the pulse beneath a person's skin, the secret tremors of the earth. She meets a young Latin tutor teaching her brothers, a quiet, restless man who feels caged by his father's violence. They fall in love not through words, but through recognition. It's as though she sees him, the parts of him the world has not yet noticed. They marry, and soon there are children, first Susanna, then twins, Hamnet and Judith. While he moves between Stratford and London, chasing words and dreams, Agnes remains the still point of the family, tending to her herbs, bees, and the small cosmos of domestic life. There's a sense of foreboding, something just out of reach waiting to enter their lives. And then O'Farrell turns her gaze to the unseen. A flea jumps from a monkey in Alexandria, to a sailor, to a merchant's crate, to a glove shipment bound for England. This tiny thread of fate carries the plague, invisible, unstoppable, until it reaches the Shakespeare household. Judith, the daughter, falls ill. Hamnet runs through the house, desperate for help. His father is far away in London. His mother, Agnes, is in the fields. The boy's small hands search for a remedy the world cannot offer. And when Agnes returns, it's too late. Judith recovers. But Hamnet, the healthy twin, suddenly grows weak. In one of the most devastating scenes in modern literature, Hamnet dies in his mother's arms. O'Farrell doesn't dramatize death. She renders it like a natural phenomenon, as inevitable as nightfall, as haunting as silence after laughter. The world of the family collapses into grief. When the husband returns from London, grief drives them apart. He buries himself in work, in the world of words, while Agnes moves through life like a ghost among the living. She senses Hamlet's spirit everywhere, in bees, in the fields, in the air. But her husband's silence wounds her more deeply than loss itself. And then, one day, Agnes learns he has written a play. It bears their son's name, Hamlet. At first, she feels betrayed. Has he stolen their child's memory, turned grief into entertainment? But when she travels to London and watches the performance, she understands. As the ghost of the dead father speaks to his son, she realizes, this is not just a play, this is resurrection. He has given their boy back to the world. In this moment, art transcends death. The father and son who could not meet in life are reunited on stage, forever. Hamnet is not a historical novel in the traditional sense. It is an act of resurrection. Through exquisite lyrical prose, O'Farrell restores to history what was missing, the quiet, domestic, feminine heart behind the world's greatest tragedy. The novel flows between timelines, past and present, life and death, weaving them like threads in a tapestry. It's about grief, but also about transformation, how love does not end, but changes shape, how art is born from loss, and how every story we tell is a way to keep someone alive. Reading Hamnet is not easy. It's tender, painful, and breathtakingly beautiful. O'Farrell's language feels alive, poetic, sensory, and full of quiet reverence for life. You don't just read this book, you inhabit it. Every page smells of wood smoke, honey, and sorrow. If you love literary fiction that explores emotion, history, and the human spirit, this book will stay with you long after the last line. In the end, Hamnet isn't just a story about death. It's about what remains: love, memory, and the words that outlive us all. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is to turn grief into art. Hamnet is not just a book, it's a requiem, a love story, and a masterpiece reborn.